Hello and welcome to a new episode of Let's Learn Yu-Gi-Oh! Today's gonna be a little bit different. Today is just gonna be me by myself, and today we're gonna be discussing the newest competitor to the playmat market. Whether you're a rubber guy or a cloth guy, is mainly towards the cloth mat players. As you guys know, it's a very heated discussion about which company is the best, which provides the best quality, best bang for your buck. And I'm going to be completely unbiased as possible here. Yggdrasil, I think that's how you pronounce it. Don't know how to pronounce it, but the Drizzle mats, that's what I'm going to call them. These mats are incredible for the price point, for the quality. I think this hits all the marks, everything any competitive player or just any player in general for any TCG, to be quite frank with you, is looking for the price point of I think it was $54.99 with free shipping in the United States, and for the quality you're getting very V2S quality with this kind of mat. I was asked to do a slide test, so I'll go ahead and do that. Cool. I'm just gonna have some random cards in here. Cool, cool, cool. Say hypothetically this is my hand, and then slide test. As you can see, very smooth, no complaints. I know a lot of people would be a bit concerned when it comes to like a slide test, or like, oh, we noticed this texture on the mat, but like, does that really come into play at all? And I'm like, okay, I screwed that up very poorly. So let's try that again. Cool. So let's fan out the whole deck. Cool, 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 cool. Awesome. Yeah, first time doing a product review video like this, so given the quality, price point, and what this mat is trying to accomplish, which is trying to compete or be compared to a V2 from Spellgrounds, I definitely think it hit all the marks. I personally don't own a V2 anymore, but I did take this to locals this past weekend, trying to get some feedback on what people's initial thoughts were, and for the most part, overwhelmingly very positive. I had a homie who's very V2-esque stand, so he was very impressed with the quality of the Yggdrasil, or the Drizzle mats. That's what I'm gonna call the Drizzle mats. Coining that phrase right now. But yeah, I think this mat is fantastic. As you guys can see, I have a prototype of the Verbana. I think that's how you pronounce that. But yeah, but the main question I think everyone has now is like, how does this stand compare to other mats? And as you guys can see, I have a nice big pile of mats to kind of go over and compare to. So let me go ahead and start pulling those out. So the first mat I want to compare this to is a FTK. So I don't own a V1, so this is the closest thing I personally have to like a V1. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, but it's not a V1 or like whatever. Comparatively, there you can definitely feel the texture difference from the Drizzle mat itself compared to the FTK. I feel like my FTK is very smooth. It has a slight texture to it, but comparative to the Drizzle mat itself, it's like night and day. It's kind of like rubbing your fingers on. I don't even know. I don't even know what to compare it to. But for the most part, you can definitely feel the texture of this. Actually, I do know what you compare it to. If you ever cut your own meat before or did any form of um, cooking at all that required beef, to me, this is like A5 Wagyu, and this is just like a choice. Like that's how I would compare the texture. Like you can kind of see the graininess, you can kind of see the fat content, quote unquote, in the Drizzle mat compared to the FTK. But that's not to say the FTK mat is still not nice. I guess this at this point it would be like a preference thing. I think both mats are very high quality and very similar in design. And I think that just the FTKs are just a little bit harder to find. So if you like FTKs, there's a good chance you'll like the Drizzle mat itself. I think quality-wise, I think they're relatively the same. I think for me, the one I have, at least the FTK I have, is a little thicker compared to the Drizzle mat, and to me, that's like, I don't know what the best way to describe it. It's like a very nuanced kind of thing to care about, if that makes sense. I feel like anyone who's like, oh, the thickness is too big when it comes to comparing these two mats particularly, it's like you can barely tell. The Drizzle mat itself is a little bit thinner than the FTK, and then the FTK's backing is more cloth oriented. It feels like cotton in a way, And then the Drizzle mat is not like that at all. So let me go ahead and show you guys the back of the Drizzle mat because I definitely forgot to do that. Give me 1 second here. But yeah, as you can see, the Drizzle mat itself is kind of looks like an old Spellgrounds, and I have a ton of Spellgrounds to go over and compare this to, right? So let me go ahead and pull up my V3. So here is my winner V3, and first thing right off the back, texture comparative from a V3 to the Drizzle mat, very different, very different. You can definitely tell. To me, the V3s have this like weird carpet kind of look to them, but they feel very smooth for the most part. I think V3 is like up there with one of my favorite materials, but you know, V3s do not age well for the most part. I feel like when I see people buying and selling them, everyone just kind of wants to get rid of the seasons mats right away for some reason. But I'm a big fan of the V3. When it comes to the slide tests compared to the Yggdrasil mat, it's kind of like more or less the same. I think the slide quality on the Yggdrasil is a little bit better. I feel like even like doing small slides on my V3 is not as smooth as it could be on a Yggdrasil. But that's like the only main difference that I personally feel when it comes to the quality compared to the V3 to a Yggdrasil. So I'm gonna move on to the next mat. I do have a ton of mats here, so we're gonna try to keep the video short. But those of you who are curious, you know, if you enjoy this type of content, or if you want to see more comparison videos of different products, like if you guys want to see like deck box comparisons, accessory comparisons, leave a like and comment, and then I'll see what I can do to get that acquired. So here's one of my personal favorites. This used to be my daily actually. This is a V4 Pagoda. And I love this mat to death. So the Yggdrasil has some competing to do personally. I think I definitely need to play on this a little bit more before I can compare it to my personal favorites. I love the V4 mats personally. Slide test again, it's more or less the same when it comes to the smoothness of it. But yeah, when we're talking about texture, I think V4 has really fantastic texture for the most part. But my issue with V4 is, as you can see, I slid some cards and it kind of left a mark, right? But that can easily be going away with like just simply wiping your hand over it. As you can see, like I don't know if the camera can catch that very well, but V4s as a whole, I think always had that problem where it's like when you do anything, like it'll kind of mark up the mat, but not necessarily damage it. But yeah, I think V4 is very similar to what Ophidian kind of did for a long time. I do have an Ophidian mat, but I didn't want to bring it today. It's a blank mat. It's like one of the cheaper mats, and I think it would be an unfair comparison to bring that out comparing and the V4 Spellground to the Ophidian blank mats. I think the Ophidian blank mats are kind of priced at a reasonable amount for someone who wants to get into cloth playmats or someone who's interested in cloth playmats. So for me, it's an unfair comparison. But compared to the Yggdrasil, obviously the texture difference, and as you can see, the wiping issue with the V4, the Yggdrasil does not have that. As you guys can see, the Yggdrasil has no, I wouldn't say fraying, but like I don't know, I wouldn't even know how to describe it. I think I would call it like a grain effect comparative to the V4. So yeah, this used to be my daily driver for the most part. I love taking this everywhere. It's my favorite, one of my favorite designs when it comes to it, Matt. So it's difficult. I think I would need to play more on the Yggdrasil to really like push it over the edge compared to this. And then let me go ahead and pull up my V5, and this is where it gets a little awkward for me because I like V5, but I hate it at the same time. And what I mean by that is when I look at the quality compared to the Yggdrasil, I feel like my V5 should feel like this, but in actuality, it does not. And V5 kind of fixed the issue with the grainy look on it. Like it's not prominent, or you can barely see it at all comparatively. And I don't know. I've played out a couple ICSs with this mat. Did not really like the slide factor actually, which is I think very rare for most cloth mats in general actually. So like as it just maybe because it's been in storage for a very long time, or because I don't like it and I already have like a bias against it. I feel like my cards get caught on my V5 way more than it would on my Yggdrasil. So yeah, I don't think it's a fair comparison. I don't think if you had a choice between the Yggdrasil and the V5, I think from an investment standpoint, I would probably tell you to get the V5. But for actual like playing on it, I would stick to this. Definitely, I think the quality is way nicer. I unfortunately I wish I had a V2 to actually compare this to, but unfortunately I don't. But hopefully the variety of mats I kind of provide here would give you an idea of what um, the quality I'm personally also looking for. So this is the V8, and this is where the thickness conversation comes to play. Yeah, these things are fat. These things are super fat, like ridiculously thick. I don't know if you guys could tell from the bag that I got. I can't even fold this into the bag anymore because like I don't know how they got it in there in the first place. These things are ridiculously thick, but compared to the V7 for Spellgrounds, I think this was a much higher improvement, and I've been told that if you unstitch the backings of these, then the V8s actually feel really nice. I have not done that yet personally, simply because I don't have a seam ripper to get the stitching off. But the V8 is probably going to be the material that's going to be competing with the Yggdrasil. So that's kind of why I brought this out here today, just to showcase. To me, the smoothness on the V8 is nice. It's thick. It's a very thick boy, I'll tell you that. It's like if I folded the Yggdrasil in half, you guys see that right here, it's about the same thickness as this. So if you like your mats a little thicker, I would probably go with the V8. But given the price point of the Yggdrasil and comparing it to the V8, I think it's a very clear winner when it comes to comparison. I feel like both mats provide the same high quality of something nice to play on. But for me, the V8 is very, very thick, and I know it's a very nuanced argument for why you wouldn't want to pick up a playmat. But for me, this is just too big, and it feels like a hassle to kind of fold and carry, even though you're supposed to like crumple them up per se. Slide test is more or less the same with all of them, but yeah, I think this is a great piece to. I think these two are going to be competing a lot in this day and age when it comes to new product and things like that. So for me, if you're going to be choosing between these, if you are an OG, I've been in the game for a very long time, you're probably going to like the Yggdrasil more. But if you're like new, you want to try something else, you're probably going to go with the V8. But again, I think V8 is better when you have it unstitched compared to how it comes out of the package. I haven't personally done that myself, but if I were to like unstitch this, maybe we can do a video on that. But we'll see. We'll see. Moving on to one of my older mats, something I've had for years at this point. Shout out to the homie Trent, and shout out to Rags for Riches, because I've been on the hunt for this Senjo from Gem when they were making more playmats than they are deck boxes and other things. But this is one of the last few playmats I want to compare it to. Again, very smooth. It kind of feels close to a V4, and to me, this is my expectation when it comes to thickness of after you unstitch a V8. So I think this would be my expectation when it comes to thickness. As you can see, the folding line's very flat, comparative to the Yggdrasil. If you like the textured look, this mat isn't bad per se either. But yeah, I think the Yggdrasil definitely has a place when it comes to the market of play mats. I do have one more mat. I forgot to pull it out. It is a pyramid one. Where did it go? Where'd it go? 1 second. There we go. I do have a pyramid mat, and I know pyramid has a bunch of different materials. I wish I was able to get my hands on more of them, but I do have this pyramid mat, and I feel like this material for the pyramid mat has kind of like the same issue that I had with the V8, where it's like, this is thick. This is super thick. Like, I would give this to a friend as a blanket. Like, it's that kind of thick, you know what I mean? But I think this, quality-wise, especially the print quality on a pyramid, very nice. I don't ever see this mat like chipping or fading away. You can kind of tell with the feel of it right here. To me, I think the Yggdrasil might have issues in the future, especially since I have a prototype, and with age comes like wear and tear. I definitely feel like the Yggdrasil mat will eventually fade over time, but I think the pyramid mats, I think they're here to stay. Um, but yeah, I guess like this would be the review. If you have the money, or if you're very curious about buying it, this to me is pretty much a flawless 10 out of 10. This is something that is here to stay. I'm excited to see what Yggdrasil kind of does as a company and where they go. I would love to pick up the other color they released, and I was fortunate enough to have this. I hope you guys enjoyed the review video. Hopefully it wasn't too long. I did have a lot of maps to compare it to, so hopefully I gave you guys enough of a broad idea of where this is on the market and like should you be on the lookout for this. And I definitely think there's a place. Um, Overall, I think this is great. I'm excited to see a new competitor enter the space. And yeah, again, if you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm really sorry about the camera's focusing. I'm using my Logitech Brio webcam. It's supposed to be like a really nice camera, but hopefully that wasn't too much of an issue. Again, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you next time.